Jennings is no tough guy, okay? And he did work for the Bush administration as it lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. So his track record is as stated. But let's be honest. He's paid to do this. He is the draw on that show. It's not the host. You can't even name any of the other people on it. Isn't this what people say they want?
Chris Cuomo on his News Nation show went after far-right MAGA figure and self-styled tough guy Scott Jennings for melting down when confronted with facts by progressive host Adam Mockler. We're going to take a look at clips of Chris Cuomo breaking this down alongside Geraldo Rivera and Chris Sununu. I've got some thoughts to share on this. I'm going to walk you through where I think they're right and where I think they completely missed the mark. Let's get into it together.
This exchange between 48-year-old CNN conservative contributor Scott Jennings and 23-year-old progressive podcaster Adam Mockler is a metaphor for what passes as political debate in the hellscape that we are in.
We all know that Scott Jennings is more than happy to defend a war with a country that starts with the letters IRA that we are currently failing, that is going to put us trillions and trillions of dollars more in debt. I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a net?
I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going your way.
Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Honestly, I'm not going to have this guy's in my face.
Everybody, hang tight,
Honestly.
okay? No, everybody calm down.
What a joke. I mean, it's just... Jennings is no tough guy, okay? And he did work for the Bush administration as it lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. So his track record is as stated. But let's be honest. He's paid to do this. He is the draw on that show. It's not the host. You can't even name any of the other people on it. Isn't this what people say they want? Millions of clicks, millions of views. Joining me now, News Nation's correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, who was sitting at the table when it happened, and former governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, who was once called a dick by CNN's Anderson Cooper, and no one argued it wasn't accurate, but it wasn't nice.
Maybe.
No, I'm kidding.
All right.
Chris, Geraldo, we are all among friends, and look, both of you know, I can get hot. I would never treat anybody. You'd never see that here. You'd never see me allow it here because I know how destructive it is to the decorum. But Geraldo, you were there. What was your read?
I was right there. Well, you know, it came out of nowhere. I don't have close relationships with Scott Jennings. I just run into him time to time. And the kid I never met before. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't so much the physicality of it as it was Scott coming back and saying, get that effing finger out of my face. I said, whoa, Dusty would never allow that. She'd beat the hell out of that baby. So it was kind of stunning to see the interaction, the violence of it.
Right.
What was the kid saying? Not much. He was kind of a smarty pants podcaster. I think you identify him very accurately. One of the 20-something podcasters. Scott, though, is a veteran. And Scott really seemed spontaneously to lose his temper with the kid. If there were blows thrown, I would have done something about it. But it just was, to me, it seemed natural. It did not seem feigned at all. It seemed sincere. If profane with the F word, and I think that's a big change in our business. How people now
tell you what.
Say bullshit on a regular basis.
Yeah, look, I mean, the words aren't what have the power. It's the emotions behind them, Chris, right? I mean, I saw the thing, Governor, with you and Anderson. Anderson's a good guy, okay? I don't know where that was coming from. I've never heard him do anything like that before. He apologized. You were really nice about it. Sure. But I also think that Anderson Cooper and Chris Sununu, you are not what they want these days. They want this, okay? This is what the people want on social media, and this is what the algorithms reward. I do not think Scott Jennings is blind to that. If it were 6 years ago and he was sitting next to me, I guarantee you he wouldn't have said that for two reasons. One, who was sitting next to him, and two, it was not rewarded then.
Yeah, look, I mean, I like Scott. I think he does a good job on that show for the most part. He's sometimes like 4 against 1, but he lost his cool, and you can't do that. Everyone knows that. He lost his cool. But look, for me, when I saw this, and I think both of you can relate, this is like the epitome of annoying little brother energy. Some 23-year-old kid who's never done anything, just poking and poking and poking. And I know, Chris, you've been there. You've done the poking to Andrew. That's right. And don't tell me, Geraldo, you can put Craig in a couple headlocks in your dam too, right?
Yeah, and he'd hit him.
You keep it
but
in the
they would hit. No, hold on, Chris. But Chris, you're a younger brother too. I got hit.
That's right.
Geraldo hit and got hit. You got hit. That is a different vibe. This is, I say mean, angry things, but I'm not going to do anything. It's performative. That's my problem with it, Geraldo, is that cool. I don't think it's organic. I think he's losing his cool because it's okay to do so.
But the kid was a dick. I mean, he really smart, eloquent, had his argument together, and obviously...
Here's where I'm going to pause for a minute. Geraldo Rivera is saying, well, Adam Mockler was being a jerk. But all Adam Mockler actually did was lay out facts. And Scott Jennings clearly couldn't handle that because he didn't have facts to fall back on. If you watch the full segment, and I did a separate video breaking it all down where you can see everything, Scott Jennings takes a jab at Adam Mockler being up past his bedtime, implying he's just a kid. He throws in another jab about something else. And then, even in the portion you see right at the start, he makes a dismissive comment toward Adam Mockler, which Adam immediately calls out as condescending. This is the pattern with Scott Jennings and a lot of these MAGA personalities who show up on panels with Abby Phillip, Ben Ferguson, and Joe Borelli. And to be fair, Joe Borelli isn't quite on the same level as the other two, but Scott Jennings especially, along with Ben Ferguson, constantly slip in these snide little remarks throughout the conversation. And anyone who's watched this before already knows Scott Jennings' style. He smirks, he makes faces at the camera, and the moment someone criticizes a war or policy, it turns into, oh, so you hate America, you want Iran to win, you want the U.S. to lose, and so on. It's classic bully behavior, and bullies don't handle pushback well. That's really what this comes down to, this MAGA mindset where they expect to say whatever they want, be as sarcastic and condescending as they like, laugh at people to their face. And the second there's even a small amount of pushback, suddenly it's outrage. Suddenly it's, how dare you? Scott Jennings fits that pattern perfectly, just like many others in that space. It's loud, aggressive energy until someone pushes back with actual facts. And that's exactly what Adam Mockler did in that exchange. And to his credit, Adam stayed composed the entire time. So no, this isn't a both sides situation the way Chris Sununu, Geraldo Rivera, and Chris Cuomo are trying to frame it.
Debated Scott before, and he was really being a dick. I mean, it was shut up, go out and get some life experience.
How many different ways do the three of us, so you have one of the best broadcasters in history, right, Mr. Mediocre in the middle, and Governor Sununu, who's one of the most celebrated public officials in his state, period. All of us have at least 6 ways. Dusty just said, what, my favorite governor ever. Oh, there you go. And she knows my brother's going to kill her for that, but that's okay. We all have at least 6 ways to deal with somebody trying to get our goat, right? You would never allow yourself to act that way or the way you would with your brother, right? I'm telling you.
Scott Jennings was on a debate panel, going back and forth with someone who had a completely different viewpoint, while that person was simply laying out facts, and Scott Jennings, as usual, stayed condescending the entire time, just like he often does on Abby Phillip's show. And that wasn't Adam Mockler getting under his skin for no reason. That was Adam Mockler engaging in a professional debate, presenting reality, pushing back directly against Scott Jennings' narrative that everything is going perfectly in this war. So the real question is, what exactly did Scott Jennings expect?
Here's my concern, is that what you represent, Chris, is being lost right now. I believe the majority wants it. I believe the majority wants somebody who shows their character by how they react. Geraldo, you have never meant more to the country than you have, I'd say, in the last 7, 8 years with your perspective, your calm, your poise. You've seen it all. You've been through it all. Nothing rattles you. There is something in that we're missing in moments like this, and they're doing it on purpose, brother. That's my concern, Chris. What makes it better?
It's terrible. No, it's terrible, but it's not going away. I mean, that's the most frustrating part.
No way.
Is that it's about the clicks, it's about clickbait, it's about headlines, this is the epitome of populism, and it's even worse when you go to Capitol Hill and you see both sides of the extremes doing it on Capitol Hill. Congressional hearings are less about what's being discussed and more about the clicks and the feed. So it's bad enough to see it at 10 p.m. on CNN. It's awful to see it on Capitol Hill.
It's the highest rated show.
I hear that. I hear that, and Governor, I take you at your word. You're a very sincere man. But there was a freshness about it, I thought, that kid never expected that kind of old man to respond in the way Scott Jennings responded. And I don't know that Scott knew that he didn't premeditate.
I don't think that's accurate, what Geraldo Rivera is saying there. I think Adam Mockler actually expected it, because he knows exactly how Scott Jennings operates. He's dealt with that same kind of tough talk, performative energy before, and he came in prepared for it. Adam Mockler has gone up against this routine before, and this time was no different. He stayed ready, stayed composed, and handled it head on.
It was just like the kind of thing, now, I know Chris, in your life, Chris Cuomo, I know in your life, you have been in situations where you have been magnificent in your restraint. I mean, people don't realize because you sit behind a desk, you're a giant of a man. I mean, you're big, you're built, it wasn't that.
Look at those forearms,
this
for
wasn't
God's
that.
sakes, he's got the sleeves pulled up.
Of a Java man. Yeah, it's all true.
This wasn't that. This was just, a kid went one step too far. The elder statesman says, hey, and I don't think he premeditated, just, had the reaction, get that hand out of my face. And I've said that a million times in my life. Get that effing hand out of my face.
Well, you wouldn't say it now because you've never seen,
I wouldn't
since
say
the
it now.
60s.
Now I'm 83 years old.
People are killing people. They are shooting people out of political extremism. Sure. We are seeing it in a way we have not seen it. I'm not saying it is caused by what we are talking about, but it is correlated to what we are talking about. If the left doesn't want to own it, that's on them. But the extreme talk is manifesting itself against a unique agitator in President Trump, okay? And the right, we've seen it for years, and we see it in the president. I am worried we are not even close to the worst we're going to see, Geraldo. That's why I police this stuff. And by the way, I violate my own rule. I know. I try.
You are the epitome of restraint in your years as an anchorman now. You flew up the handle as a younger person, perhaps. But I remember when I had the infamous skinhead brawl with in my studio with the racist skinheads, and they broke my nose and all that. It was all. I never got more congratulations from the way to go. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's it. High five. This. Next time, and but this was not hateful. This was an annoyed grown up with a bratty smart kid.
But you know what the difference was, Chris? And I'll give you the last word on this. Geraldo fought against real Nazis. Now we just call whoever we disagree with Nazis, and that's my concern.
It's true.
Yeah, it's out of control. And look, I'll go back to the number one rule in when you're in the public sphere: you don't punch down. Right? You don't. I mean, he took the bait. Scott absolutely took the bait from that kid and forgot that rule of you don't punch down. He should have just ignored it and moved on. But to your point, it is getting more violent. It is getting more extreme. And that's getting normalized. And that's not the way it should be. I think I'm different. I think it gets better over time. I really do. I'm an eternal optimist. Because if I thought differently, then God help us for the next 30 years. But I am optimistic that over time, this actually can get better. We haven't learned. We invented social media, but we don't have the maturity to understand how to use it properly. And I think the hope is that the next generation actually develops into that because they actually grew up with it.
Okay. So I'm ending on this, Geraldo. He's saying he's going to run. He's not saying when, but he's saying he's going to run and that he's going to make it better. You just heard it here, Geraldo.
Okay. I don't really care about them praising each other here. So they bring up the Nazi angle. Adam Mockler didn't call Scott Jennings a Nazi. He didn't label him with any kind of name at all. Chris Sununu starts going into the whole punching down argument, but that doesn't really hold up. Adam Mockler didn't take the bait that Scott Jennings was clearly putting out there. What you're seeing instead is that familiar both sides framing that mainstream media leans on all the time. Scott Jennings acted the same way he usually does toward Adam Mockler throughout that segment. And Adam Mockler didn't fall into it. He actually did exactly what Chris Cuomo, Chris Sununu, and Geraldo Rivera claim they want to see. He stayed professional. He presented facts. He didn't resort to name-calling, insults, or threats. So, in reality, he behaved the way these commentators say people on TV should behave. Scott Jennings didn't. He stuck to his usual pattern, smirking, being condescending, laughing things off, playing to the camera. And then he was met with someone articulate, grounded in the reality of what's happening, saying clearly that America is not winning this war. And that's something he couldn't handle. And that's really the core of it. Adam Mockler was right in that moment, and Scott Jennings couldn't deal with it because he operates within a narrative where everything aligns with his perspective, where Donald Trump is beyond criticism, where blame is always shifted elsewhere, and where the situation is always framed as a success. Then he ran into someone more composed, more focused, and willing to stay calm while being repeatedly challenged. Like I said earlier, that kind of behavior doesn't respond well to pushback. Scott Jennings came in with that same energy, but this time he faced someone who wasn't going to be intimidated, someone younger but steady and unshaken. That's really the takeaway here. The way to deal with personalities like that is to push back firmly, stick to facts, and stay composed. And that's exactly what caused Scott Jennings to unravel. Geraldo Rivera, Chris Cuomo, and Chris Sununu can keep talking about tone and decorum on both sides, but that framing doesn't really match what actually happened here. And viewers picked up on that. So what do you think about all of this? Do you agree with the both sides take from Chris Cuomo, Chris Sununu, and Geraldo Rivera? Or do you see it more like this, that Adam Mockler handled it the right way and Scott Jennings was in the wrong? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe.